Engine 1 from Car 1. Car 1's on scene at Subin Command. Give me a CAN report.
What's going on, everybody? This is Mike Goldstein, Stickers of the CAN Report. Nozzle top, everybody. I got Texas in the house. I got Heath Meredith, Third Alarm Cowboys, on the CAN Report. I'm excited to have him. Him and I have been talking for a bit now, and we decided to do a podcast together. So we got two podcast dudes talking, and I'm happy to have him on the show. I'm happy for the people in New Hampshire and New England to know who Heath Meredith is and what Third Alarm Cowboys is all about. Heath Meredith, thank you so much for being on the CAN Report, my friend.
Oh, absolutely, man. Yeah, shout out to you, dude. The whole reason this whole setup is even being able to work is because you helped me out, because otherwise I had no idea how to even get this video and be able to do this. So yeah, it's been pretty cool, man. I'm excited to be on here, and I really appreciate you inviting me and us doing this little collab, and hopefully both of our little movements and stuff and all the listeners that we have, everybody else will enjoy this too.
Absolutely. Yeah, folks, if you're listening, please click like, subscribe, follow, smoke signals, whatever you guys want to do. Tattoo it on your arm. I don't have any room, but if you guys got room, tattoo what you got. Give us a like, share, subscribe, and follow to the Third Alarm Cowboys and the CAN Report. It really helps us to grow our platforms. Let us know that you are listening, that you are enjoying what we're giving to you all. It really is something that we really appreciate. So with that little housekeeping, I don't have any sponsors. I don't have anything else to shout out, but thank you guys for listening. Thank you all for tuning in. And I'm excited to get this going with Heath Meredith, the Third Alarm Cowboys. Heath, can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, man. Grew up here in Texas. I'm a born and bred Texas boy. You know, all you got to do to find out if somebody's from Texas is ask them, because they'll tell you they're from Texas. Most of us are more proud to be from here than the U.S. But grew up deep East Texas, great family life, grew up playing sports, all that kind of stuff. Got into the fire department right after I graduated high school. So graduated in May, enrolled in Fire Academy in August of 2008. And so I've got I actually just rolled 17 years in, and been everything from firefighter all the way up to a ride-up battalion chief for a few years. Went and left structural a few years ago, and went to industrial for like 2 years. Absolutely hated it, making like averaging maybe 4 runs a month. And in 2 years, I made 2 little fires, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. So I actually went at 34 years old. I decided to rookie again, and so I started over as a rookie a couple years ago there in the north side of Houston, and that's where I've spent most of my career, is working in the Houston, Texas area. But yeah, man, I've done everything from rookie day one and then all the way worked up. I was a captain for about 9 years there in the Houston area, really busy engines, made a shitload of fires, and just had a really good career. Man, I really kicked this off doing the Third Alarm Cowboy stuff. Everybody knows that the fire service has a lot of problems and everything like that, but Harris County is, as a whole, which is where Houston is, it's in Harris County. I'm a county boy. I don't actually work for Houston Fire Department, but I work inside the city limits of Houston. So it's a really weird dynamic. There's like 200 paid departments that are all in that county, but it's so intermingled and interchanged that like you may run this fire with Houston and then you're running it with nothing but county guys. I mean, everybody works together and it's nuts. But with that, there's tons and tons of different departments, different mindsets, different administrations, all that kind of stuff. And not all of them are good. And so I really started off the Third Alarm Cowboys kind of trying to be a voice for my guys, like the local dudes. And with getting on and, you know, talking truth, trying to be authentic, just telling my stories, the things I had gone through, whether it was bad leadership, mistakes I made, successes I had, fires that I made, whatever it was, it just really took off. And this whole platform ended up going nationwide, like really, really quickly. And I think now we're up to like 65,000 listeners, something like that. And
Wow,
it's totally took off. And man, the Third Alarm Cowboys, I kind of came up with that name that basically trying to bring, because I grew up, you can look out my window, but I live on 500 acres, which I know I talked to some guys from New York and they're like, man, that's bigger than Central Park. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's where I grew up. Got you know, do the horses and all the shit you see on Yellowstone. We live it in real life and have for generations. This land's been in my family for over 100 years now. And so that's just what we do. And I love that culture. I love the Western culture, the rodeo culture. And of course, you know, people now watching the show Yellowstone, being a cowboy has gotten popular again. And so I kind of try to tie that in. And then where I come from, I know it's different areas, but where I come from, like a 3 alarm fire is pretty much as bad as you're going to get. Very rarely do we ever even go to a 211, but if it goes to a 3 alarm, like people are dying. And so
Mm,
I kind of felt like I would name it Third Alarm because I felt like the fire services at that point, like people are dying, careers are dying. And so I was just kind of trying to tie it all in together of the cowboy way of life that I live, where you stay true to your word, be a man of honor. Um, don't care about a lot of the fancy stuff. You just most cowboys, all they actually ever own is just what fits in their saddlebags and on their saddle. And so that's a simple way of life for me. I like it a lot. And then bringing in that just sense of urgency and stuff with a third alarm, and that's where it all kind of came together. And then I kind of coined the whole TAC channel deal because I've grown up working in the fire service. We get dispatched on a primary channel, then they assign you a TAC channel. And so it's just
sure.
kind of trying to do a little catchy phrase shit, but that's what it all kind of came together is me trying to be as clever as possible to make things make sense. And so that's where the TAC team and the TAC channel and all that stuff came about, and it's just really took off, man. And guys like yourself have helped me out along the way, and we really built a pretty cool movement of just trying to be genuine and actually give a shit. That's all it really is
I
about.
love it, dude. That's it's pretty cool that you've come up with so much on your own. Like I think for actually as a whole, like you, me, Relentless Rejects, Tailboard Misfits, Firehouse Vigilance, National Fire Radio, all these guys, it's amazing what a lot of people have come up with without having to hire a marketing team, right?
Hmm.
Because you think about like big businesses and corporations where they spend millions of dollars to market themselves. And I don't think people realize the work that goes into what we have to do to market ourselves, to build that platform, the logos, the homework of how to start a podcast. It's at first it sounds easy, but there's a lot more that goes into it, right?
Oh
And
man, it's
I,
stupid.
it's a lot, and I think it's
Yeah.
really cool. It's a self-motivating thing, and I honestly I think it's not a selfish thing because, as we've said many times, we're not making money off of this. Like I
Hmm.
don't make anything, and maybe I'm stupid for not knowing how to make money off of it, but I didn't go into it to make money.
Yeah.
Just like you said, you didn't come into this to make money. You came in this because there was a message that needed to be broadcasted and you want to do it. And I think that's really cool how you've come up with taking something from the fire service, just like my logo, the C.A.N report, conditions, actions, and needs, third alarm, your TAC channels. Like we operate on the TAC channel as well in my
Okay.
area. When we have fires as well, it's very common to use TAC channels. As soon as we get a fire alarm activation or we know we got a ripper, it's everyone's moving to a TAC channel.
Hell yeah.
So it's the same thing. So it's really cool that you're taking those elements in the fire service and making them pretty cool. And for people to understand what they are, like you just said, like TAC channel, maybe not everybody knows what a TAC channel is, and you just educated the masses without even knowing about it. I
Yeah, for
love I
sure.
love your history, dude. I think it's really cool. You got that passion for it. And with your platform, what is the what is your goal? What is it that you're trying, the message you're trying to really bring? Is it leadership? Is it mental health? Is it tactics? Is it operational readiness? Or is it a whole entirety of that?
It basically just a modge podge of all of it, man. I kind of I fly by the seat of my pants on it. I started off kind of trying to stick to a rubric a little bit and try to figure out what topics and everything, and really and truly that just didn't work for me. I just basically talk about the stuff, whatever's the hot issue at the time in my mind. Whether it's because I mean I'll
Yeah.
even touch on some politics. I'll touch on politics. I'll touch on family stuff. Really truly a lot
Yeah,
here
you
lately.
do a
Probably
lot.
yeah, it's kind of it's whatever's been fresh on my mind here lately. I've been beating up on men a lot and talking a lot about like being trying to be a good dad, trying to be a good husband, all that kind of stuff because that's been really fresh on my mind. And with traveling with the kids, I got 5 daughters, so and I used to be like, man, this is some crap. But now as the world goes on, now I see like why I have daughters. Uh, Little girls need a dad that will actually like stand up for them, not a dad that's absent
Yeah.
or doesn't give a shit or is selfish or whatever. So I think it's kind of a blessing and a curse all in itself when it comes to that. But really just trying to cover everything, man. I've had some tactical talks, and I don't get real big into that space mainly because I think that there's guys out there that are way smarter than me. And like talking even about this podcast stuff, man. Like I grew up learning how to chase women, fight, and drink whiskey. And then in the meantime of that, I became a fireman. I also learned how to weld. I can run any kind of heavy equipment. Like I was always like an outside type guy. Where both of my brothers were kind of nerds. They did a lot of the computer stuff, all that stuff. So when it comes to like having to learn how to do all this, you're not exaggerating. Like it was literally, I'm over here like Googling how to even do this stuff. Like it doesn't,
Yeah.
none of it makes sense. And it actually, you mentioned it was kind of cool. And I actually don't know the guy that's running the page now, but you talk about like coming up with stuff and making stuff. Our original podcast we had was the Tailboard Misfits.
Oh, okay.
And the guy that I had as a host, he's a great dude. I mean, we're friends and stuff like that. He ended up having to go a different direction because of his career and things like that. And then I think he got with what's his name, John, that runs that page now.
Yes, John
Okay.
Velez.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to him. I don't know him, but they work together in some capacity. I think maybe for the same department or whatever. And so it's kind of cool. Like even something that was a concept that we came up with in our minds like 3 years ago. That has even grown and gone into its whole new thing. And John's off traveling and really building that name up too. So it's really
Yeah.
cool to see like all of the how small of a world it is, but just how all the guys that are really carving things out from nothing. And a lot of these
Yes,
dudes,
I
I
agree.
mean, including yourself, like you're way, way more capable and like technical savvy than I am. And I kind of feel that way about um, the whole tactical space. I mean, you got guys out there that are like operational gurus. Like I can't tell you all the different friction losses and all. Like I was taught old school how to pump. I pump through sound and how things feel. And then new guys are like scientific wizards when it comes to all that. So it's pretty cool. I try to cover a lot of different topics, and basically it's just whatever week you're listening in, or you'll be getting a totally different topic. So
I like what you got because I think it's really cool that you do hit on things that are important to you or hot button items that might piss people off or occasionally does when you bring them
oh
up.
yeah,
And I think it's cool that you are pushing that envelope of giving your views, and they're really not filtered as much. And I've seen your posts, and I've seen your times when you were like, all right, dude, I kind of overstepped my bounds, and you've apologized for it, or you make like a shout like, hey, I'm only human and maybe I piss some people off, but
yeah.
it is what it is. But I do think sometimes it needs to be heard. And I've seen it I was literally just watching the news this morning, and um people have talked about how we've gotten to a world where we're really we have to walk on eggshells in everything that we say and do. Where back in the day, like just talk about comedies, like the comedies that we had back in the 80s, right, dude? And like in the
Oh, bro,
90s,
like Eddie Murphy
they were
Delirious.
raw, right? I mean, the
Yeah.
things that they talked about, you couldn't get away with it today. There's no
No.
way. And because we didn't have social media, we didn't have those filters that we had to worry about. People they wanted to be insulted. That's what they went to comedies for. That's what they sat down for. I mean, because Lethal Weapon's coming out, right? The new one. And so those are the slapstick kind of racial edgy comedies is what I grew up with. And you
Oh
don't
yeah.
see them as much anymore. So it's the same thing with us. We have to certainly be careful. We don't want to offend people, but sometimes when you speak the truth, you indirectly offend masses, and it's not our we're not trying to do that. And like the big thing that's come out, like Hulk Hogan, right? Like the dude passed away. Apparently, there's a lot of racial tension about it. But for me, and I'm sure for you, he was a childhood hero. And
Oh
I
yeah.
didn't know any of those things growing up. Like all I knew is the dude had the biggest arms in the world, and Hulkamania was running rapid on you, and that was what we grew up with. But back in the day, a lot of those guys were extreme and said stupid stuff because there's half the time they're all hopped up on coke. But
Yeah. Oh yeah.
luckily, we're not like that. I went off on a different tangent, but the point is that I love that you're able to speak your mind. You speak your truth. You speak about the things that are bothering you, and then you bring it back home. And I think it's really cool. Again, you talk about being a good dad. Like, hey, I have got girls, and it's a blessing to be a father. I've got girls as well, so I'm on the same board with that. That I think it is a blessing to have girls, and I think it's important that we talk about, especially in our line of work, that we still need to be there for them and be
Uh-huh.
fathers for our sons and daughters. And the fire service is great, but we got families back home, and they need us before the fire service does. So I do love the things that
100%.
you talk about, man. It's you're true to yourself and you're true to us, and I do appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. No, thank you for that. And that's really why it took off the way it did. I know that I'm weird in the dynamic of my ability to not give a shit. I know that that's kind of weird. A lot of people can't understand that, and people ask me why I've kind of toned some things down. I'm still me, and I'll get wound up and I'll start cussing and stuff like that, and I get pretty rough. But I have tried to wind it down a little bit, mainly just so that people can kind of understand a little bit better what I'm saying, in the sense that, really truly, I'm accountable to very few things, and the fire service is not one of them. I know that's kind of counterintuitive to what a lot of people are saying, but like, I care about what my wife thinks. I care about what my kids think, and I care about what God thinks, because that's, the ultimate judge. So other than that, man, like, if something I say gets me in the point where like I got to change oil for a living to provide for my family, then that's what I'll do. Like, the fire service has been a great job for me. I love it. I love kicking doors down. I love fighting fire. I'm good at it. But like, at the end of the day, there's been jobs that this podcast cost me, and I just accept that. I accept that people don't always want to hear the absolute truth, but at the end of the day, it's got to be said. And that comes at some risk, I mean, even like guys that I work with and stuff, there's things that I've said that piss them off. I've made enemies, things like that. But then most of the time, what ends up happening is later on, they come back and they're like, man, you were right.
So with that, do you get any blowback from your department heads for your program? Because sometimes it's really difficult for us to talk freely, because then it gets brought up at work, right? So not even say if you're saying anything about your employer, but if there's something that you say something and someone has a problem with, they do their homework. They find out you work for whatever department in Texas. They trace it back to that department and go to the chief and go, hey, Heath pissed me off online. I don't like what he said. He insulted me indirectly. I want him written up. I mean, it's a tough world with that. Have you gotten any, have you ever had to be brought in the office and say, hey, man, your podcast is ruffling some feathers. You need to tone it down, or you need to stop it?
Yeah. Yeah, a bunch. So,
and you don't have to answer it. You don't have to answer.
No,
I know it's
no,
an
it's
edgy
fine.
question. So
No, actually, this could be an educational point for a lot of guys. So, a lot of guys don't have the education, or they've never experienced some of this stuff. So one of the big things is like, so for one, Third Alarm Cowboys is its own thing, right? It's an LLC, it's a business, all that kind of stuff. I of course am the founder, CEO, all that kind of crap, but it is its own business. And on top of that, I do have a lawyer on retainer that represents the company. I highly recommend that to anybody. If you are going to start putting yourself out there, this is the world that we live in. We have to do it. As far as me personally, one of the big things that I have done at the, advising of my attorney is, so I don't name departments and I don't name names of chiefs and stuff. That's helped me a lot. So when I'm really telling some gnarly stories and everything, like, it's all true stuff. I don't have to fabricate things. But there's no way for it to necessarily pin down to me legally, in that sense of like defamation of character or anything like that. They can't do it because they don't know who I'm talking about. And basically what it comes down to, like, I've even had attorneys tell them, like, well, if you feel guilty, bro, that's on you. You can't feel guilty. He didn't name you. So I have had that. But as far as like my actual job and stuff, yeah, man, like I've had, I got turned down a job I was going to be making like $48 to $50 an hour, which down here, that's insane money. It's about 200
that's
something
insane
grand a
up
year.
Here, dude.
Yeah. Straight up, the fire chief was like, no, you're way too controversial and we don't want you. So I didn't get that job. And there has been people like my current department, my HR director and my fire chief do monitor what I say and what I do. The thing is they also kind of know that I'm careful with what I say, to an extent of not getting myself in trouble per se. And then I don't link those two things. I don't usually rep where I work. Now you could find out, you could search, you could go to the state website, whatever, search and figure all that out. But like, truthfully, man, and this has been a blessing. Where I work currently, there was guys there that didn't want me hired because I'd already been doing the podcast for over a year when I actually decided to go back. And there was guys there, officers, that in the officer meeting was like, we can't touch this guy. He's too controversial. He's too opinionated. We've heard he knows his shit and he's really solid on the fire ground, but it's going to be rough. We probably should steer clear. And to the credit of my fire chief, my fire chief actually was straight up. He's like, man, we listened to his stuff. He's very like regimented on the fact he doesn't name drop, doesn't do all that kind of stuff. And truthfully, at the end of the day, man, he's entitled to his freedom of speech. So as long as we hire him and he doesn't start naming our department by name and blasting it of untrue or, false information out there, then he's entitled to say whatever he wants to say. And so really, truly, man, like my fire chief kind of had my back without me even knowing it. This all kind of came out after I had already been there, done my rookie shit and everything. Guys were like, hey, man, this happened. I was like, no shit. All right, well, that's cool. So, I have a freedom, constitutional, loving fire chief, which helps out a lot. But really, like, for the lesson that I would say to the guys is I know that we're kind of taught as a society to kind of self-censor, but that's done on purpose. This isn't, when we were kids, you talk about Hulk Hogan and stuff, like, you remember when we were kids and stuff, like your teachers and stuff would tell you like, hey man, this isn't China. You're entitled to freedom of speech. You can say what you want to say. This isn't China. People would say that all the time. And now you're seeing 20, 30 years later, what that actually truly means. We've gotten to a point now where people do censor themselves like, man, I shouldn't say that. Why not? Why not say that? I'm a huge proponent of freedom of speech. Like just because somebody doesn't like what you say doesn't make it illegal, doesn't make it wrong. Like I can say all day long, man, like I don't like your mustache. You don't like that I don't have a mustache. That doesn't mean that it's illegal for us to say that. It just means, we have a difference in opinions or whatever. Like that does, and too many guys are caught up in that. I say that too many Americans are caught up in that period. Like say what's on your mind and the world would be a better place if people would say what was on their mind because you know where people stand.
Yeah, I agree. I think, again, we definitely worry about what we're going to say, how we're going to piss people off. And sometimes I think that hurts us indirectly when we need to speak the truth to people. Like you said, like there's times where you need to get the truth out. People need to hear it and understand it. And especially in our line of work, like if you got a firefighter that's not good at those skills, if you've got someone who's just not pulling their weight, I think it's important to be, not to be an asshole about it, but you pull them in the office or pull them aside and say, dude, I expect more from you. Like you sucked. What's wrong with you? And that you shouldn't have to be called in HR for that. Again, there's a way to do it. I know back in the day, it was a way different world, but we can still be like that. But again, without having to completely tear somebody absolutely down. And then, that's when you're going to get brought in HR and go like, dude, you can't talk to people like that. But you don't have to resort to name calling. You don't have to resort to violence. And, as long as you treat people right and be honest and real with them, well, they might get butthurt because you spoke the truth, and that's going to trigger them. But that's just the way the world is. And I think we still need that. We need the truth. People need to hear it because that's the only way people are going to grow. If you sugarcoat them their whole lives, they become kind of spoiled or entitled kids, and they think they've done a fantastic job for 20 years. And then finally someone goes, no, man, you sucked for 20 years.
Yeah.
We're just afraid to tell you.
Well, and you honestly, you see that all the time. Like, guys will be a chief somewhere. And I dealt with this in my own career. Dude was a complete shitbag of a chief. And you would talk to guys that worked with him at the department that he retired from. Like, yeah, he was that way for 20 something years, 30 years. And I'm like, so at 30 years, this dude was a turd. Y'all let him move up through the system. And then now he gets to retire from there, draws $100,000 a year in a pension from there. And then now he's over here being a pain in the ass chief for us for the next 10 years. Like that means for 40 years, no one handled the issue. Why? Because they were scared of this 4'0" dude hurting his feelings or him throwing a temper tantrum. Like that's, and like you talk about the whole how we used to handle it back in the day. I brought the shirt out that's been, man, it's been nuts. The bring fist fights back to the firehouse. So
I was just gonna bring that out.
So that one picture I posted last week of, actually he's my EO and probably one of the most knowledgeable people in the country on fire apparatus. If you ride some of these certain cabs of Pierce's, he helped design that truck in the 80s. And still to this day works with Pierce, helps design, helps the engineering department. Like this dude is a rock star in the fire apparatus world, and he's known like all over. And I'm very fortunate that I work with him in my full-time job, and then he's actually one of my instructors that travels with me when we're doing our hands-on courses. Bro, that one post to him got like 1.2 million views in like 4 days. So
wow.
People don't understand. They're like, well, what's up with all this fist fight stuff? And it's like, man, that's really all it's about. Like, of course I'm down for that. Don't ever think that I'm not, because I think that that's what's wrong with a lot of like men and stuff is there's no I know where I grew up or where I live. If I go up here to the grocery store right now and there's some dude in the grocery store and I give them a mean mug or I say some dumb shit, where I live, he's probably going to hit me. I know it's different in other parts of the world, your California and stuff where just that stuff is not taught, whatever. People don't grow up like that. Um, so they don't necessarily understand. But that's ultimately what it came down to with the shirt and all that is like trying to get guys to, if you're a firefighter that's on your truck can't pull a cross lay or can't catch a hydrant, then you need to tell them like, hey man, what the hell is going on? Because at 2 o'clock in the morning, it's got to get done. And too many guys are just like, man, they're just, I guess it's almost like they're trying to pacify people or they're scared to piss them off. But this job really is pretty damn scary. And I mean,
Yeah.
I think I had a guy ask me recently, why do these places and stuff not, more or less, why do people not understand? And I really think ultimately what it comes down to is people aren't making enough fires. Like I
Oh
said
yeah,
earlier.
absolutely. I think you're not wrong in that, Heath. I think you're absolutely right that because we're not getting those jobs like we used to. One, I think you're not developing that camaraderie because we got in this business for that adrenaline rush,
Uh-huh.
and having those fires is that adrenaline rush. But you're doing that with your people that you're living with at the firehouse, and that really is a bonding moment. As we know, whoever's been in actual good working fires, we all know when you go to a good snot slinging fire, that is like a bond you just made with like 20 dudes who are at that fire, especially the ones that right off the
Uh-huh.
first dude truck. Those are
Oh
stories
yeah.
you get to tell for years, but you've now developed that bond with each other. You put your life into somebody else's hands without even knowing about it. And it's not even
Yep.
being dramatic. You think about it, there's a lot of stuff in play. So if you never get to do that, you don't know what that's like. And you don't know that responsibility that you just had for one each other. So I
Uh-huh.
think we as firefighters, as we always say, like, when they get idle, that's when shit happens. They start gossiping. They don't know what to do with themselves, and then they start tearing each other apart and start picking out little things. And then we start seeing
100%.
who's pulling their weight and who's not. And you're absolutely right. Like, I think I'm glad we're getting less fires. That means people are not having to lose their homes, right? And we're not having
Right.
to lose civilians. But we got in this business because we love to fight fires and
Yeah. Oh
to
yeah.
save people. And so we don't have that happening like it used to be back in the day. That's when you kind of get idle and things get mundane, and you start picking those little pieces apart.
Yep. Yeah, you start attacking, people's little actions, they'll start getting on your nerves, and then you start attacking them as a person. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that this is not a very popular topic, but I just think it's the truth with I don't know, I guess you call it the influx or the merge or whatever for EMS coming into our profession. Like I wrote a box, I still write a box. I wrote a box now over 15 years. And it has its place and everything. And of course, bringing medics in the fire department is good because it allows them, especially at where I live and where I've worked, it's all private service EMS. So it's all these, private companies that are money driven and they'll run the medics into the ground. They don't give a shit about them. They don't care if they kill them. They don't get a retirement. The benefits are crappy, all that kind of stuff. So bringing those guys into a fire department where they get a good pension and they get benefits and they get a good schedule, all that stuff is very important. And I think overall, it's a better route for them. However, like at the end of the day, we can be really honest in the fact that like anybody can run EMS, but not everybody can be a fireman. It's
Not everyone
it's
could be a fireman. I agree, dude.
it's
It's a job that everyone could do.
too many departments, including some of the ones I worked at, they're so EMS heavy. You're running 95% EMS. Well, that gets you kind of in the mindset of like, well, all we do is EMS. Anybody can do EMS. So the fire stuff is just like, okay, yeah, we can do that, but it's so much on the back burner in your mind that that true sense of danger, urgency, all that is just absolutely not even in the spectrum for most agencies. And that's where it comes down that like you don't have that danger. You don't, I mean, I say this in my lecture, but especially when it comes to guys promoting and everything, like, bro, anybody can be a captain on an engine over an EMS scene. Anybody can do that. I mean, literally, like you're literally just there for scene safety and to make sure that the medics do their job. Anybody can be an officer over that, but can anybody be an officer over a fire scene? Absolutely not. And that's where I
Yeah.
think like you see these people promote quickly, you see all this different stuff because nothing is really focused in on the true danger of what the job and how quick you can get killed. And even guys like me, man, like I said, I've been very, very fortunate my whole career. I have burned the world down. Every department I've been at was in very high crime rate area, high poverty, big time hood, and we have burned. And when I
Mm.
travel and I get to meet these people and stuff, people haven't seen the fires. They just don't, people really just don't get it, if I'm being honest. They don't understand. And so that opens up the door for not only the complacency, which is kind of what everybody talks about, but it opens up the door of truly not even understanding. So sometimes when you're talking to
Yeah.
people, it's like way up here and they're not even, they don't even get it, like what you're talking about when you start talking about going in there and you're essentially surrendering your entire life. You know, if you're that backup guy on the hose line, then all your job is humping hose. Whatever that nozzleman does can kill you. You
Yep.
know, and the same goes for the officer. If the officer's making the judgment call and, you know, you're more of a junior guy, so the officer's telling you which way to move and stuff, officer makes the wrong decision, tells you to move right when you should go left, you're dead. So like every single part of
Mhm.
that, every puzzle piece that goes into that, your hands, your life is in somebody else's hands. And the guys that don't make a whole lot of fires, they can't even grasp that because anybody can burn in a burn building too. I mean, hell, you can walk in most burn buildings without gear on. I mean, just today
Yeah.
it's,
You're not wrong,
go ahead.
dude. Like, I agree. Like, I agree. Like, I absolutely 100% like what you're saying is, you know, honestly, the heel man too. He's not just backing up that line, but he's also watching conditions change for that nozzleman, right? You
Uh-huh.
know, like we got to have a head on a swivel with the heel man. So, as we're the backup guy, we're watching everything around that nozzle dude to make sure that that person's protected, that making sure there's nothing going to fall on them, and you know, we got a lot to do on all those levels. Same thing with the engine operator is holding our lives in his hands, right? If we go in the
Oh
building,
man,
we
don't
lose
even get me
water,
started
like
on EOs.
right,
Don't even
right.
get me
So I mean,
started on
it's
EOs right now.
a it's a big deal, and like you said, though, it's without even knowing it indirectly, you are everyone has a role to play in somebody else's life to make sure that they're going back home to their loved ones after that fire is done. And again, that's why I say it is such a bonding experience because um, it's fun afterwards. Hopefully, it's fun afterwards, and you could talk
Yeah.
about it. But everyone has a key role to play, and if that one person's not pulling their own weight, that's when you know you need to be held accountable and have those rough talks with someone. And it doesn't even have to be a lieutenant. It doesn't have to be a captain. It doesn't have to be a chief. It could be that guy on that line that you know said, "Hey, whether it was an nozzleman and the backup dude didn't do his job, man, I had to do that
Hmm.
whole thing myself. Where the fuck were you? Why am I
Hell
doing all this
yeah.
work?" You know,
Yeah.
right? Like those are
100%.
the tough talks, and those aren't tough talks. Those are real talks,
Yeah, I
right?
was
And
gonna say
that's I
all that
think
is a conversation. Yeah.
that's conversation. That's not tearing someone down. That's not calling them names. It's just literally saying, next time I want you to do this. If you don't do this, I'm going to get somebody else to do it for me, and you don't get to play. You know, or
Yeah.
we have to send you some
100%.
remedial training. So, and I agree also. So, like with the EMS side of things, my department is the same way. We run EMS, but I tell you what, um, I give all the credits to medics running calls. Like I'm a basic bitch. I love watching my medics work because it is like an art form. I say it constantly. Like I can't do what they do. I don't have the brain power for it.
Same.
I am not smart, dude. I am not a smart person. And watching medics work and do their thing, all the schooling they went through. So I just want to make sure all the medics, who anyone's listening out there who is a medic or an AEMT, we're not downplaying what you guys are doing for work. I absolutely love what you guys are doing because I know I can't do it. It is definitely a skill that I am not comfortable or capable of doing. It is a lot of responsibility. And the fact that, like, man, EMS, it changes way more than our fire service field.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, to be 100% honest, right? Like what all the equipment, it changes constantly. And the protocols are changing almost monthly, sometimes
Yeah.
bi-weekly. And for us in the fire suppression side or truck side or wherever else, like usually our tactics aren't changing that fast. So the fact that
No,
we have
only reason changes even happen is when someone's trying to reinvent the wheel.
correct.
So
So,
that's yeah.
with the shirts, with bring fist fights back to the firehouse. By the way, I absolutely love it. I need to get a shirt. By the way,
All right, I'll send you one.
um, all right, I'll trade you. I'll give you one of my metal up the ass t-shirts.
Hell yeah.
So, um, did you get any negative stuff by that? Did people not understand it?
Yeah, actually a lot. I think, or not actually, I should say there was a lot of not understanding at first. As far as hate, I kind of broke it down. It took me a little while to go through, but I'm one of those guys. I like to I like numbers. So I like to go through and figure it out. And honestly, of all the reactions from every post from the very beginning, so I actually debuted those when I went to the Smoky Mountain weekend in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. That's where I debuted those, was at that conference at our vendors booth. And so you're looking at roughly 2 months. That was at the end. That was the last weekend of May. But roughly 2 months of doing sales on there. We've sold, I think at this point, like over 500 something of them, which is pretty good for small town me.
That's
But
awesome, dude.
I literally can't keep. I've got like 60 something that I got to ship out today, and I'm gonna try to work on. I'm literally drowning in this stuff, which is a good problem to have. I'm not complaining, but I'm a one man operation, so it's kind of hard sometimes with me balancing everything. But it's really and truly, as far as the reactions go, it's about three to 400 good reactions to one bad. And that's either like, 300 likes to one bad, negative, angry face or whatever, or like 300 good comments to one. Like that's really the ratio is a 300 to one. So, I mean, with that, I got probably, that one picture got 1.2 million views or whatever. And so all in all, man, I'd say I've probably gotten like 20 really bad comments in 2 months. And a lot
That's
of it
not
is
bad.
from no, not bad at all. And a lot of it is misunderstanding. And there is some people that I've been a complete douchebag to. Like you catch me in the wrong mood, bro, and like, sometimes I need help. But basically, like I'm also one of those guys too, where I have understanding. Like there's a lot of people that say stuff on Facebook that they would never say to me in person. But at the same
Yes.
time, I'm like, I have gone nuclear on some people because they just won't stop, or they insult my guys. You insult my guys, and like in person, I'm gonna fuck you up, but you can beat that out if you need to. But like on Facebook, whatever, I'm gonna go nuclear on you. So there has been some of that kind of stuff, but a lot of it was misunderstanding. So a lot of times I just reply in a comment, and I'm like, hey, go listen to this podcast. It's number 89, Firehouse Fistfights on my show, and then it explains it. And then some of those people have actually come back later and be like, okay, now I get it. It makes perfect sense. And then a couple of them have even ordered the shirt after they gained some understanding of what it was. And like, I'm not out here trying to incite violence and burn the cities down and shit like that. It's just like, hey, guys need to learn how to talk. And used to, like, hey, let's go out back was kind of the connotation that people threw on it. But a lot of times it was either going and sitting in the lounge in the bay, or sitting on the tailboard, go sit on the picnic, smoke a cigar, and then like, hey, dude, this, and this. Or a lot of it is like life stuff. A lot of the conversations, my station, I'm with a lot of older guys. And so there's a lot of conversations we have. We have your typical like strategies and tactics talk or debriefs after fires and stuff like that. But man, so much of our conversations are life stuff. It's either relationships, we're, talking about our wives, what each other's going through, things like that. And that all happens out back. And so to me, there's so much growth in that. And that's really where it kind of came from. Cause I hate like my station. I love it because it's the nicest station I've ever been in, but we all have individual rooms. And like some crews, like you ride overtime or on a trade or something, some crews, they never even come out of the rooms. There is absolutely no crew time. They don't talk to each other. They don't even eat together. A lot of these crews I've worked in through the last, like say 10 years, there's crews out there, they don't even eat together. Some of them order food, some of them bring their own food, and they go in there, they eat whenever they get hungry and stuff, then they go back to the room. And that's kind of where all that was in my mind. I'm like, man, we got to bring that whole, like, let's go talk, let's hash stuff out mindset back. And that's really where that whole deal came from.
I love it.
It was just me trying to be clever. I came out. Merch is so weird. I know you talked a little about with doing the merch and everything. And merch is so weird because some things sell and some things don't. And I'm really proud that shirt has been the one thing that really, really did. It's took off. So
yeah, it's great. It's a great logo, and I love the reasoning behind it. So this is the questions that need to be asked so people can hear it before assuming that he's referring to violence. Like, I think it's important that people understand what we're saying and how we're saying it before like just assuming that it's a violent trend, or that we're not here to make friends. Like this is all about making friends. It's all about talking to people and getting people to actually communicate, sit down at that table, sit down on that bumper and have some fun and enjoy each other's company. And I think with it hitting on that point, I feel like it's kind of gotten to a lost art of bumper time. I've said it before. I love me a good bumper time, dude. Again, the being in New Hampshire, being in New England, the summers are quick. And so we only get a few good months of actually sitting on that front bumper, sitting on that apron, and just enjoying each other's company and just talking. And I think that's honestly where we get those good talks, is sitting on that apron and just watching life go by for maybe a couple hours if we don't get a call, and just enjoy talking about whether they're going to take a trip or something that's bothering them. I had a great story, like talking about, the fist fights, right? Like bringing the truth out. Like I was doing a training with a crew, and one of the guys I was training with kind of upset me the way he handled something. And I kind of, I brushed it off. I walked away, but he could tell I was kind of miffed about it. And I didn't talk about that time because I didn't want to interrupt the training. We're sitting at the bumper and he approached me. We're sitting there and we're just hanging out. He goes, "Hey man, did I piss you off earlier?" I said, "Yeah, as a matter of fact, you did." And he says, "I had a feeling I did," right? He's like, "I could tell, but I wasn't sure." I said, "No, you did. And here's the reason why." And we talked about it. Everything was copacetic. And that's the way life should be, right? Like
100%.
There's no grudges held. I was pissed at the moment. I didn't want to interrupt something. He had the balls to approach me and say, "Yeah, I could tell you were kind of pissed off. Let's talk about it." We talked about it, and life is good. There's no hard feelings. Yeah. That's how, again, that's the meaning behind it. Just talk to each other, and don't hide behind doors. Don't hide behind officers. Just like Larry, like you and I can be dudes and just talk about our problems and what's going on. We're going to come out as better people.
Straight up. Yeah, that's literally all it is. And I mean, like, I don't understand. I guess I don't understand firemen in the sense that, if I yell at you on scene, I'm like, "Hey, I need that fucking line here right now." Mm-hmm. Or guys go down and I'm like, "Rick, get your ass in there right now. We got a guy down." Like if I yell at you on scene or getting your ass on scene, everybody's cool with it. But for some reason, like we get back to the station and I just like, "Hey man, why are you doing this shit?" Now all of a sudden everybody wants to be all in their fields. It's like they can't understand, like there's nothing about what I my whole life I played sports and stuff. And so I learned a lot of lessons from playing team sports, whether it's football, baseball, all that, basketball and everything, soccer. And I don't know anybody that's on a winning, say football, because we're about to kick off football. College football is coming back. I don't know anyone that's on a winning college football team that doesn't have a coach that's got in their ass.
Yeah.
Like there is no coach, there is no Nick Saban out there that is ever like warm and fuzzies and like, "Let's go to HR together and talk out our problems." Like, hell no. I mean, he's legendary for his ass chewings on the practice field. But for some reason, firefighters really can't do it. Oh, hell yeah. Dude. I'll tell you all day long. Yeah, my high school coaches and shit, I hated them at the time. I'm like, man, I hate doing up downs. I hate doing freaking field goal or whatever they call it, the suicides. And like, I can't stand this crap. But then I look back and I'm like, man, I learned the most from those guys. And they get in your ass. And then really like how people in the fire department, we operate the same way. You're still the same person. Like you respond. I don't care if I make you mad on scene. If I make you mad, it makes you strong enough to pull that 5-inch by yourself, then fine, by all means, whatever. Like there's a sense in that. And so I don't understand, like, I don't get where kind of people can't make that correlation in their mind. Like it really is that simple. I mean, just sometimes people need to get in people's ass, or even if it's not even that, if it's just like a personal talk, there's plenty of guys that, you talk about relationships with their wives or their kids or whatever. And I've heard some conversations go down at the station where it's like, "Hey man, you need to take your ass home and spend more time with your kids. Like you made them, you brought them into this world. You going fishing all the time, or you going hunting all the time, or all this kind of stuff, and you're not there for your kids. Like it's starting to show." And so that's not, is that a fun conversation? No, not really. But at the same time, it's a needed conversation. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's kind of that whole piece and where it, I just think it's needed, man. That's all it was. It was something that just guys have got to understand that I guess life is real. This whole fairy tale that we live in through the phones and through video games and TV and shit, that's not real. What we're doing is real. And your decisions your choices that you make through your decisions really have like life altering decisions, whether it's on a fire ground or outside of. So that was the whole premise behind it.
I love it, dude. I love it. So moving on, we talked before and you talked about some the presentations that you do, and you were talking about one of the pinnacle moments that you just had. It wasn't that long ago, and you did a presentation and I forgot what city or state you were in, but you had Mo Davis in the audience, and you and I were talking about that, about how giving something of yourself. And I think for me, I'm going into that realm now of trying to build a presentation of something that's very important to me. And I realize as I'm building it, it's definitely a piece of yourself. When you're not teaching the manuals, right? IFSTA or fire engineering, you're not up there, right? Teaching people this is fire path, this is fire flow, or this is a ground ladder, this is how many rungs of 20, all that stuff, right? Like, but when you're actually building something that's important to you and that you have passion about, and you present it to a room full of strangers, that's a scary thing. And you were telling me how the feedback you got, and from someone that you look up to, that you consider a mentor, and that was Mo Davis. And that was a pretty cool story you were telling me about that. So can you talk about that?
Yeah, man. So, just kind of a little background. Mo and I mean, everybody kind of knows who Mo is now. He's super popular, but I've known him for a long time. We both worked the east side of Houston together. He part-times, or he has been a part-time over there for over 30 years now. And so, me working over there, I was full-time where he was part-time. And so, I made a lot of fires with him, made a lot of calls with him, and he's always been a chief since I've known him. Either he was the chief at that part-time job, or then now, of course, he's a chief at Houston and stuff, or has been a few years. But he's always been the chief, but he's always been the one that would get down. Like, I know people see him traveling and all this. Like, I'm here to tell you, like, I told him when we talked together actually in San Marcos, Texas. I was like, hey, Mo, you need to pay me to be your hype man, bro, because I'm out here really building your name up even more. But he's not full of shit. Like, he's legit. He's out there in a white shirt, dragon hose. Like, his white shirt will be nastier than your bunker gear. And that's, I mean, I've seen it time and time again. Like, he's out there getting down. He really cares. I mean, he's just that chief. And so always looking up to him and being like, man, I hope one day, that's what I want to be like. That's, all that kind of stuff. And then the guys in San Marcos, they booked me probably like, I don't know, 6, 7 months ago. And, they ended up calling me probably a month or two ago. And the training chief guy was like, hey, we're looking at bringing Mo in and giving a lecture the same day as you. Would you be cool with sharing that? I'm like, yeah, but you be sure I want to go first. I don't want to have to follow Mo. And so they laughed, whatever, and whatnot. But yeah, so I'm doing my lecture and everything, and I've traveled and done my lecture now for several months and done it half a dozen times or more. And each one is kind of different because it is. I mean, you're reading the room, you're kind of seeing. So if you're talking to an all career crowd, then you're going to cater your stuff more to the paid guy side. And then if it's volunteers, you're going to cater, because I have a background as a volunteer as well. So, I can talk more about the volunteer stuff, or a combination of both. Or if you're talking to nothing but officers, because I was a captain, I can talk, I can bash on captains pretty hard. Like, you kind of read the room and stuff. And so I'm getting decent at it, I guess I should say. But, going through my story and everything, and giving my spiel for my lecture, and Mo's in the back of the room and everything. Well, I get done with mine and this, that, and the other, and he's getting set up, and we broke for lunch and everything. And he and I got to sit over there and catch up and talk. And I haven't seen him in probably at least 2 or 3 years now. He's like, hey man, how you been? Blah, blah, blah. It's good to see you and all this. And um, I was like, well, what'd you think? Because a lot of the guys I've taught the lecture to aren't guys that I know. They're from out of state. I've, been to Tennessee and things like that. But to have a guy that, like, I made fires with, I made EMS calls with. He knows some of these fires that I talk about. Like, he's seen them, he's seen the videos. He was either there or was right down the road listening to radio traffic. So, like, I'm like, what do you think about it? He's like, dude, and he just gave me the nod. He's like, you got this. And it was really cool, because it's like, man, a guy that I've always looked up to and took a lot from and stuff finally kind of gave me the, like, hey, you're on the right track. Like, yeah, and your
Yeah.
shit's on point. Like, it was really cool. I think maybe that's your question, but it was a really cool experience for me, and to kind of get the nod and whatnot from a guy that I've always looked up to. And it also gave me some validation in the sense that, like, hey, I know I'm doing the right thing. And the cool thing, or the curse at the same time, about the fire service, and I tell guys, like, don't try to chase it, because it won't always work out. But, like, uh, I chased fires. I would move to hot houses. I moved to hot, busy departments. I always chase the fires. And so for 17 years now, I've been at the places that were hot. And I don't even know how many hundreds and hundreds of fires that I've got to make throughout doing that. But it comes with a cost because, my money isn't always right. Like my pension's not where it is because when you leave departments and stuff, you leave your pension behind and things like that. Doesn't always work out. But in talking to Mo and everything, he's like, man, the thing is you got to understand is with you traveling, all these people that you're going to meet and everything, there's a tenth of the people out there that have made the fires that you have. So your validation is already there. You just gonna have to realize it. And so he kind of gave me a pep talk because I'm like, I judge myself. I'm very strict on myself and very hard on myself. Like even after we get done with this interview, I'm be like, man, I should have said this, this, and this, and this. Um, but to have a guy like that you always look up to, be like, bro, you're doing the right thing. You're on the right track. You're stepping up for the right reasons. You're teaching the right stuff. Like it was very, very cool. It was a great experience.
That's awesome. That's a great story, man. And it means a lot when you get that from the people that you look up to and the people you actually have, again, you bled and sweat with. That means a lot. And
I know that they actually have done it. Like he's actually done it. Like
yeah. That validation is certainly key. I mean, we're all humans and we want to have that positive feedback. But again, real talks, I imagine knowing the quality and caliber of Mo, he would say, yeah, man, you need to probably improve on this or cut that out, or maybe, this isn't for you. But the fact that, he's honest with you, right? Like that's, again, honest talks. Like, God, he'd be a horrible friend or a horrible mentor if he said, yeah, dude, keep going with it. And it sucked. Just to see you fail time and time again. So it's really awesome to see. Yeah, exactly. I want somebody who can give me that solid feedback of like, yeah, this is good, go with it. Or no, I wouldn't say that. My wife does it to me all the time. She's always like, I wouldn't post that. It's not going to go out right. It's not going to do this. And so I'll usually work off of her as well, like for validation of like, okay, how would you perceive that? Because you're not in the fire service. How would you perceive this? And she's like, yeah, I wouldn't say that.
100%.
So
it's a lot of people don't know. Oh, for sure. And a lot of people don't know this. I'm kind of putting Mo's business out there, but like Mo's known at the city of Houston, like he's fired his own best friend from the district because his best friend come over there, and it's like, hey, my best friend's the district chief, so like I'm gonna have a Cadillac. And Mo was like, no, bro, we're the hottest district in the city of Houston. Like I don't care that we're friends. We'll be friends outside of work, but like you're gonna toe the line here. If you don't, your ass can get transferred to another district, to another station. And that's exactly what happened. So like he can separate that, friend and business and everything. So like to me, that was like, okay, a guy that'll do that to uphold the line to make sure that his crew is handling their shit the right way, then that's the kind of guy that is going to shoot you straight. And so yeah, it was really, really cool. And I do the same thing with my wife.
That's awesome,
too.
man.
I do. She runs a lot of my filtering system.
Yeah, it's pretty funny actually, because there's times where I don't even ask her, and she obviously, because they're wives and they're gonna give their opinions. And I was playing a clip that I was thinking about posting, and she's like, I wouldn't do that. I'm like, why? What's wrong with it? She's like, that's really negative.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'll not do it. I appreciate you. I won't do it. But so with that presentation, you and I are actually going to the same place. We're going to Old South Fools in Corinth, Mississippi. How did you team up with the Old South Fools?
So actually I ended up talking to Jacob, probably like 2 years ago, whenever I originally launched so I didn't even talk about some of our merch stuff, but like Third Alarm Cowboys, we have merch. We got, all the typical stuff, shirts, hats, and all that. But we also have a custom Firefighter cigar line. And whenever the Old South, it kind of popped up on my radar and everything, I reached out, and that's how I ended up connecting with Jacob, was to see if they wanted to partner on doing the Third Alarm Cowboys cigars. And so we just started talking, and they were building up their funds and everything like that, which all that's kind of still in the process of. We just started talking, and then he started listening to the podcast, and he's like, dude, I really like that you just shoot people straight. Like you're just a genuine, normal dude, and you just shoot people straight. So it really took off from there. And then going into this year, I had a lot of chiefs that were reaching out to me, and they were like, man, we love the show. Like, can you come out and talk to our guys? Can you come out and, give a lecture or seminar or whatever you want to call it to our guys? I'm like, man, I ain't never done that before. Like, I don't even know where to begin. And so that's where, when I started kind of tossing up the idea of starting to, travel and teach and give lectures and whatnot. And anyways, whenever I ended up putting that out there that I was doing that, I ended up talking to Jacob, and he was like, "Absolutely, man, you need to come out." And which I'm not going to be able to do a lecture at this one. I'm coming out to help out basically because I'm out of PTO, and so I couldn't get off, and it was
Happens
literally,
fast.
yeah, it does. It happens real fast, especially whenever which I'm not on rookie status anymore, but I still have like technically what they call grade one PTO, so I don't have a whole lot of vacation time. And that conference is landing right where I would have to take off the whole deal, and I don't have enough PTO to
Mm.
be able to take off to be down there to be able to teach. But I'm going to ride out and be there Friday and Saturday. But yeah, that's a long about answer to give you. Like basically, just they really like the show and like the me being genuine and everything. And then I've talked to Jacob a whole bunch whenever I've started planning to have a Third Alarm Cowboys conference for 2026, and he's been a huge support on that and helping me kind of navigate the right directions and figure out how the hell I need to even figure this out.
Love it.
Like as far as I could tell, like man, they're doing a great job. Like their whole social media platform and everything, like they're bar none, it's top notch. So
I think it helps that they're such solid, real guys. Like
yeah.
just down to earth Mississippi boys that just love the fire service. They truly do want to make it better. And I've never been to Mississippi, so I'm really excited about going to Mississippi and meeting. I'm just excited to meet all the people. But
Mhm.
like you said, I've never presented before. This is a whole new world to me. I'm really pumped for it. And honestly, I'm sure you've heard of it when people have talked about it. The imposter syndrome of
Mhm.
it, right? Like we're teaming up with some amazing presenters. You've got Steve Orzini, you've got Manny Barajas, you've got
I think Clyde's coming
um,
out there.
Jay Fulmer, you got Clyde Gordon, and
Mhm.
like, dude, like that is amazing to me because again, like seeing Mo, seeing Clyde, those guys are straight shooters. I love. I really, I could. I've said it before. I could listen to Clyde's presentation. Uh, I could listen to it all the time. I love it.
Yeah.
I always
Oh
get
yeah.
something new out of it. It's just always something I might have missed, and I love listening to it over and over again. So every time I can get an
Mhm.
opportunity to hear him speak, I really enjoy it. He still has the same passion, and he still has the same message that he brings to it. And I'm excited to finally meet Manny Barajas. I'm excited to hear him talk, to see what he teaches. Again, Jay Fulmer, just so many amazing people, and it makes me nervous. And I'm not gonna lie, like it's like this is a whole new realm. Like I can teach at New Hampshire Fire Academy. I can teach people that they're complete strangers as well. But I'm always in the drill yard in my gear. That's my safety blanket, is being in my
Yeah.
gear. Right, I'm comfortable in that. I have a tool in my hand, or I'm throwing a ladder, or I got a nozzle in my hand, something like that. But um, being on a platform with a screen behind me and having to talk to complete strangers without gear and without a tool in my hand, that's a whole nother level. So that's going to be, I'm going to be constantly worried about how well I'm going to speak and how many times I'm going to stumble on my words and if I'm going to get that good message across. So I'm excited though we get to do it together and we get to meet in person.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. And it's not terribly hard, man. It's I actually enjoy it. I really do. I enjoy the interaction, especially when you start getting the crowd involved, if you will, which like my TAC channel lecture is very I know some presenters and stuff, they're just giving their information and the guys are trying to take notes and play catch up, but like my shit's a very interactive class. Like it's called the TAC channel because it's you're talking on the TAC channel. Well, my class you're gonna talk. And so it's very
Yes.
interactive and everything, but you'll enjoy it. Like it's a lot of fun. I totally know what you mean because like when they printed up the flyer and it's got my picture next to Mo, or like
That's what
right
I'm saying.
after so we have Old South Fools, and then the next weekend I'm teaching at Small Town Job Town, and on that flyer you got a lot of those same names. You got freaking Kurt Isaacson, all this, and you got like my picture next to theirs. I'm like, this doesn't even make sense, man.
Right.
Um,
It's
I'm not
crazy.
old enough.
It's
I
definitely
haven't made enough fires. I like all this stuff starts running through my mind. I'm like, dude, I'm nothing. And
exactly.
then that's where the whole deal with Mo. He's like, bro, you have like I know in our mind. I talked a lot actually about this, and it's still a side note, but I talked about this with my wife um, the other day. I heard a quote, and I'm probably going to butcher it or whatever, but I was listening to the interview with Brad Gearty, who was the Buds commander that they ended up losing the student and that was on PEDs and all that stuff, and basically Naval Special Warfare tried to hang him out to dry, and he ended up get all that the murder charges and all that because it just wasn't his fault. The dude was using a bunch of drugs, and that's what ended up making his heart explode. But or die, whatever. But he was talking about it, and they were talking about how being part of like SEAL Team 6 and all these different big time tier 1 military, whether it's the SEALs or MARSOC or any of that way of life. And I really feel this way about the fire department. And I'll kind of tie it all in, but this way of life, that way of life, whatever, it really is like jumping on a train. And that train's running 120 miles an hour, and you ride it for as long as you can, and then eventually you have to get off, right? Whether it's 20-year career, 30-year career, whatever it is, eventually it's going to end. Your fire career is going to end. Being in the military, whatever, it's all going to end eventually. Um, and you talk about the imposter syndrome and all that kind of stuff. It's what ties it all together. So Brad Gearty said a quote and that he heard from one of the other SEALs, whatever, that basically being a SEAL is like doing heroin. It's bad for you, but it's badass. It makes you feel good, and you're always going to quit. You're always going to move on, retire, find something else to do. But it's always after the next hit. Like, well, I'm going to do one more deployment. I'm going to do one more of this. I'm going to do one more of that. And then, like it's just almost like a never ending deal. And it's basically essentially the same thing as a drug addict. And the older I get, the more I start understanding that for me, it's been that way in my fire career. So, I laugh because I'm not tatted up. I don't have anything like you. And guys bust my balls all the time, including my wife. She's like, how do you not have any tattoos? Like as loud and boisterous and it's all this shit. Like you don't have any. And I'm like, well, when I was in fire academy, a bunch of the guys went out and got tattoos. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. When I'm actually a firefighter and I fight a fire, then I'll get a tattoo. Well, that day came. And then I was like, no, man, I'm just a volunteer. When I get a paid job, then I'll get a tattoo. And then I got a paid job. And then it was like, well, when I get my first grab, and then I got a grab. And it was like always the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. And here I am now, 17 years later, and I still had never got tattooed. I never felt like I've earned it. I've never felt like I earned the right to have a firefighter tattoo. And like, I know that's simple and small, but in my mind, I'm still kind of chasing that. So to me, it's kind of the same deal as like them guys talking about the military, like they're always kind of chasing it. And it just kind of never, it's never ends. You never make enough fires. You always I want to make, one more. I want another apartment fire. I want to do this. I want to do that. And you just kind of reach a point where you kind of have to acknowledge within yourself, like you have done enough. Like you've earned just as much as every other guy on that poster for that training has done, if not more. You're just not realizing it yourself.
I love it.
Which has been something I've had to really swallow. And like even talking with my wife, like very recently about that, I've been like, I know I got to work a certain amount of more time to get my pension. But I don't necessarily, when it comes to the fires, I don't know when I'll ever measure up to myself in my own mind, measure up with some of these people. And I don't know if that's healthy or unhealthy or whatever. I haven't decided exactly what that is, but to me, that's a very realistic thing of it's just never enough.
I agree. I think you're not wrong in that. I think for a lot of us that are doing this now, have that same mindset. I feel the same way, man. I feel exactly the same way that I'm not good enough, and that will I ever be at their level? And honestly, for me, my answer is no, because we're all different, and what they bring to the table is completely different from what I'm going to bring to the table. And they have 30 years over me. And I'm never going to get to their level because they're already 30 years ahead of me. So all I can do is deliver myself and to be honest and pure and real. And, having this conversation right now makes me realize that, like, again, the nervousness and the imposter syndrome that we talk about, it's that realization just hit me right now, is that I'm never going to be at their level because they're on this level to me. Now, I'm here. There's going to be somebody else in that crowd that sees me talk or sees you talk. We're up here to them, and they're going to think they're down here. It's just going to keep going that direction. But if we can inspire that person, just like Mo did it to you and Mo did it to me and Clyde did it to us and all these other people, it's the same thing where they inspired us. We were down here and they're up here. And now that we're going to get to that level, and it's just going to keep going. So it's a really cool thing to think about, is that as we progress and hopefully we continue to succeed in delivering our message and good content, that we're going to be inspiring those other people, the younger generation, and they're going to be talking about us like we talk about Mo and Clyde and the rest of the the forefathers that came before us. And I think it's a cool,
Straight up.
it's a cool thing to think about, man. It's different. And as we get older, those are things we start having to think about. Is I'm never going to be those people, and we can't live our lives to be like those people. All we can be is ourselves and deliver a good, solid, positive message to motivate and inspire others.
100%. Yeah, 100%. That's actually a talk we
Yeah, man.
had probably like 2 shifts ago with my rookie, because he was talking a little bit about that, about the amount of fires that people make and stuff like that. And the guy that was in that picture, Timmy, that's my EO, his family actually founded the department that I work for a long time ago.
Oh.
But they were also in Harris County. They were one of the first, if not the first, paid county guys. And so at that point in time, 30 years ago, when fires would drop damn near anywhere in Harris County, which is massive, because they were the paid fire crew, they get mutual aided. So they may go 20, 30 miles across Houston to a mutual aid fire and be first or second on scene, just because of the dynamics, 30 years ago with volunteers and everything, how widespread all that was. So you start folding that in. Basically, I was telling the rookie, I'm like, man, I'll never catch Timmy. I'll never catch the amount of fires that he did, because now it's very rare for us to even go outside of our area. It's got to be a really, really, really bad mutual aid request for us to leave our little area. Whereas 20 years ago, they go 30 miles down the road like it was nothing. They did it all the time. So as departments grow, it also kind of shrinks down your response area, if you will. And so like the rookies that we have now will never catch us. I'll never catch the guys ahead of me like that, like the Moes and all that, just because the dynamic of the game is totally different. And that's been an evolution in my mind, probably about the last 6 months. But between having that conversation with the rookie the other day, and then this one with my wife, and then now this one with you, like it really is. You got to kind of cut your own path, which is different,
Yeah.
but it is what it is. And so I think maybe everybody needs to understand that, and that stop trying to chase necessarily what other people are doing, and just do what you're gonna do.
Do you, man, and be organic. And then people are going to love what you're doing, and hopefully love the message and want to listen. Again, nobody wants copycats. And again, like fire service, the firefighting is not difficult. It's all the same. And all the trainings we go to, and how to throw a ladder or how to force a door, there's 100 ways to do it, but you got to do how it's working for you. And if you go out there and you take a conference and you go to education and you come back and you bring it to your department, but then if you're trying to be a copycat and make a name for yourself and go out there and literally just rip off that person, it's not organic. Even if you try to do a presentation, or if you're saying the same things, then people who actually give a shit about this whole program or this whole what we do in our life, they're gonna be like, wait a minute, you're a ripoff, you're a copycat, and you're just biting off everything else that somebody else before us had developed. So
100%.
you're just gonna look like a fool. But be organic, be yourself. If there's something that you believe in and you've helped develop a program or presentation or a new way to put your mask on, harness it, develop it, but be yourself. And I think that's, like you said, like that's what makes Mo Mo. That's what makes Clyde Clyde. That's what makes Kurt Isaacson. That's what makes David Rhodes, right? These are all people who are there. They are what help who we are, but we can't be them. And I don't want to be them. And they don't want us to be them.
No.
And we just have to continue to be ourselves, right? We just continue to be ourselves. And I'm telling you, man, it's awesome to see. It's awesome to grow. It's cool. Like, I never expected to be able to talk to you. I never expected to actually be sitting here in my office talking to anybody.
Right.
So it's being real. And as long as we keep being ourselves and being organic, we're going to keep driving and keep being those trailblazers.
Yeah, for sure. And I think people get caught up in the maybe in the competition, which I'm huge competitive, like that mile, everything. Like I'm from dark energy. Like when I'm working out and I see somebody else struggling, or even at fires, and I see like other people are playing out, that's whenever I find a second gear. Like I got a dark side mentality of when it comes to the competitive side of me. But when it comes to like this whole realm with the teaching and everything, like it's 100%, you're spot on with that about the guys kind of trying to copycat. Like actually with the whole fist fight shirt, the guys were laughing at the station the other day, and my captain came to me. He's like, "Hey, bro, look at this." And there was like a scam, not necessarily, I shouldn't call it a scam. There was another business profile that popped up and basically was trying to rip off our shirts. And I was laughing, and at the end of the day, like, I don't care, whatever. try to sell shirts all day. I'm gonna tell every fireman out there that wants to try to start a merch line, selling shirts is the hardest shit that there is. But at the end of the day, it's not necessarily the shirt, it's the message, it's the movement, it's the people believing in like the Third Alarm Cowboys, the people believing in the C.A.N report. Like the guys that follow you and follow like what you're doing are the ones that are buying your shit, not just some random people on Facebook. And then when you start talking about
100%.
the whole training stuff, like guys got, and I told you earlier, don't let me get on the subject about EOs right now, but I don't want to leave everybody hanging on that just for. I believe that the EO is the number one attacked position in the fire service right now. People, so I will say all day long, driving an apparatus is the best job in the fire department. I screwed up and only did it for 2 years. Of course, I ride up a lot now, but as far as actually holding an engine operator position, I only did it for 2 years because I promoted. I was trying to move up, blah, 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 play all that. But I've drove fire apparatus now forever. And they are the most undervalued and most attacked position in the fire department because everyone knows that it's the most fun. It is the best job. You get to ride up and play whenever you're riding the seat. You get to, still play and fight fire and stuff, but you're not the bottom of the totem pole. But I see it time and time again for all these departments that are trying to dumb down on what an EO does. They're trying to, replace them with certifications because now everybody's got to have their driver operator certification. You got to have your Class B, CDL, and all that kind of stuff. And just because you have those two things, oh, you're good to go, buddy. You're an EO. And it's like, no, that is not true at all whatsoever. I don't care if you can drive and go pass a test with a DPS trooper or however your state does it. Like, that's not all it takes to be an EO. That is the most important position on the fire ground because they have to know everything. And they're your outside safety, and they're a lot of your smaller departments. Whoever's outside, that's the EO. They're your IRIT that's set up. They're your command that's set up. They're your outside safety that's set up. They're your gopher because they go for things. They go get your ladders. They get your tools. They get your saws. They get everything. They force the doors for you. Some places they stretch the lines for you. They're setting up lights for you. Like the EO is doing everything. And so being an Osman is easy when it comes to the job of an EO, and it pisses me off so bad. I very recently sat in on a class that was talking about, EOs, and the guy teaching the class was talking about the importance. And all I want to do was turn around and look at some of the chiefs that I know in the room that I've literally, in their mind, all the EO is the certification, some college hours, and a Class B driver's license. And none of this other stuff is even on the spectrum. Now, all the EO does is just drives the fire truck. No, hell no. The EO keeps everybody alive. And then if you go start like really digging in, because every fire chief is scared to death of getting sued. If you really go dig in, who has the most case law and the most lawsuits against them involving fire or anything? It's the drivers of the fire trucks. So like, if anything, you need
when
to be
something bad happens, it's the driver.
100%. Everything's on the driver. Whether it's they lost water supply, that's the driver's fault. Whether they T-bone somebody at a red light, that's the driver's fault. Everything falls back on the driver, and yet the fire service as a whole is shitting on an EO position all day long, saying basically anybody can do it. And then you start talking about just even in I'm going on a whole rant here, but even in the whole difference of, I could be an EO on my apparatus, but I step off my truck and I go to, which I'm fortunate where I'm at because I'm in a tanker house, tender house, whatever you want to call it. But, we have rural water supply where I work still, even because we're in the county. But take a city guy that's only ever pumped off hydrants. He can't come be an EO at my department. They don't know jack shit about water supply, setting up, doing drafting and relay pumping and all this kind of stuff. They can't do that. So even just because you're an EO at your department doesn't even mean that you can step off and go to another department and do the same job. Like, it's such a specialized position, and everyone in the fire
service really is. And I love how passionate you are. You are getting like angry, like you are into this, man. This is going to have to be another conversation that we have to have a repeat. So it's going to have to be a good conversation where we can dedicate an hour to about engine operators. I had Pete Bowman on, Pete Bowman out of Texas as well. He loves engine operations, and I had a great conversation with him. I had him on my podcast. Well, there you go, right? Like, so I mean, there's another dude that absolutely loves it.
Yeah. Yeah, he's literally, his station is like, is no joke, probably 2 miles from mine. So all the fires that I'm making, his station's making 2. So yeah, 100%. Like I know awesome. Him. Yeah. He's right down the
That's
road
good.
from me.
That's funny. That's hilarious. So we you know what? We should have the two of you on. We can all talk about engine ops for
I'm gonna
a
have to
good
grow a
hour or
stash. You're gonna
more.
put me on with both of y'all because both of y'all got stashes.
Yeah, but his is a little thin though. Like
Yeah, but
I've
it's
got
dark.
I've got the bush going. It is dark.
Yeah.
Mine's blonde,
Yeah.
but he needs a little time to grow his a little bit more. But we'll get it going. So maybe next time when we have you on and him on, we can get the stashes and engine operators talking, because I'm in the same boat, dude. I love driving the engine. I love pump operations. It is an art. It is fun to do when you know how to do it. And like we said before, this job is a hell of a lot more fun when you're good at it, right?
Yes,
So
100%.
being an engine operator, whether you're a nozzleman, whether you are an officer, a chief, the same thing. As long as you're good at the job, you're gonna have fun.
Oh yeah.
The meaning, like, the anxiety is gone. Like,
Yeah,
when
you're
you
not
start
job
getting
scared.
through that probationary period, yeah, you're not job scared, and you know how to do the thing. You get to get off the truck. You know what you needs to be done without even having to think about it. It's muscle memory. And when the task is done, you look back and go, holy shit, I did that. And that was a lot of fun, as opposed to being scared out of your mind because, oh shit, do I know how to throw this ladder, or I have to remember how to force the door, or what are my pump numbers again? How am I supposed to pump this line? So
Yeah.
when you're not worried about that shit anymore, you can actually start concentrating on the job at hand, but also have fun doing it.
Yes.
So with that, Heath Meredith, Third Alarm Cowboys, man, what a great conversation. I could talk to you for another 2 hours, my man. This was great.
Hell yeah, man.
I really appreciate you, dude. This was a lot of fun. So if anybody wants to know what he's about, follow him on Instagram, follow him on Facebook, listen to his podcast, Third Alarm Cowboys, TAC channel. Make sure you are buying his swag. He's got some cool shit out there. And make sure you are listening to his message. Just don't, if you're reading the label, there's a message behind the label. So make sure you're asking those questions. And if you're not certain what that message is, friggin' ask him. Ask anybody. Like, if you're not sure what their message is, ask them. Don't assume that, because that's when things start happening, right? So, Heath, thank you so much. Anything else before we go?
Oh yeah, man. Just I'll just give a little plug for my stuff. Everything. Yeah, Third Alarm Cowboys. We're on all of it. We got the custom cigars. I am still taking on affiliate to that. So if you want to get paid to rep the Third Alarm Cowboys cigars through commissions and stuff like that, just shoot me a message on Facebook or Instagram. Other than that, man, the next biggest thing, I've already got some dates that have been booked in 2026 for trainings. That's kind of the next big thing we're doing. The podcast, I'm still doing weekly shows on that to the best of my ability. And then we're booking for 2026. So if you either want my lecture, conferences, departments, whatever, or the big thing that we were doing towards the end of this year, we've done a couple already this year, but we got a few more, but doing our hands-on course. And that's where I bring out my entire crew. And the beauty about our abilities, if you will, is because I have the guys on there like Timmy and stuff. But the crew that I have, it's all senior guys, been around a long time, pumped on a lot of different fire apparatus, and we can use pretty much any type of equipment. So we've done everything. I know there's a lot of push out there for you need to use this type of equipment or that type of equipment. Everybody has their favorites. We can use it all. And so we'll come to your department and teach with what you got. I don't need any specialty stuff. I don't have to have, certain kind of nozzles or anything like that. Like, we'll work with what you got and come out and teach your guys our specialty, which our specialty is big city fires with rural water conditions. I mean, I'm in the city limits of Houston. We make a shitload of fires, and we're incorporated county. We don't have any water supply, so no hydrants. So we do everything we do with tanker operations and draft tanks, which is a very special niche. But a lot of departments I've noticed around the country with these big developing neighborhoods, the developers aren't putting in the infrastructure, and so the fire department is having that, having to fill in that gap and still run things like a county department. So that's our specialty. It's what we're really good at, and we can come out there and teach. I just kind of wanted to plug that so that, I'd like to get up there around your neck of the woods and start doing some more hands-on. But we'll be in Georgia. I'm flying out today to go to South Carolina. We got Mississippi with you. I've got Louisiana, a small town, job town, and a couple more in Texas left over for this year. So if you're interested in any of those places, shoot me a message or shoot me an email. And that's pretty much it, man. Just check us out. Don't I do a lot of the stuff for clickbait. I do, it works. It works. I'm not gonna lie. I choose some of the titles and everything on my stuff for a reason. So you're absolutely correct. Like, there's a reason I do the things I do. So if you have questions, hit me up.
Yeah, man. Love it. Excellent. Thank you so much, Heath. Third Alarm Cowboys. Make sure you are tuning in. Thank you all for tuning in the C.A.N Report. I appreciate you. Yeah, and if you are looking for swag, Nozzle Top hat, I have that on the Notorious Fire website. Follow my links for all my cool stuff. Make sure you are liking, subscribing, Third Alarm Cowboys, C.A.N Report. Follow us, see where we're going to be next, and we're going to help you out to make sure that we're all better together. I love you all. Be safe. Nozzle Top.